what's up, everybody? So I'm going to use this video as somewhat of a rough draft as something a little bit more in depth down the line with graphs and exercises and all this shit. But right now, I just want to explain my journey on how I fixed my wing scapula. And it took some years of figuring out and, going to physical therapy, watching a bunch of videos, and ultimately just having to figure it out myself because nothing I did worked. And I wore this shirt just so I could demonstrate. My wing scapula was on my right side, so this side. As you can see, when I press down, my lat engages, which never was the case. So I'd raise it, press it down, and even if I try to force it out, it really doesn't force out like it used to. So lat is completely engaged, which if your scapula was as progressed as mine, you would understand that it just, instead of like going down or pronating or anything like that, it would just stick out from my ribs. I'm sure a lot of you that, hopefully this gets out there, a lot of you that are looking up videos probably have the same issue. You do pull-ups or chin-ups or anything like that, and instead of seeing that scapula, pronate out, it just is frozen and it doesn't move. It doesn't do fucking anything, and your lat doesn't get engaged or anything like that. So I want to give you an alternative way to look at this issue, because more than likely you may have went to physical therapy and they gave you a bunch of exercises where you have a band or something and you're pressing out against the band, or you're doing some of these things with the band, let me see, have some type of band over somewhere and you have to do one of these things, or they're making you do a bunch of overhead pressing and just a bunch of shit that ultimately it'll strengthen up your shoulder and a bunch of stuff, but your scapula is still frozen there. You go online to YouTube and they're telling you, oh, if it's not a coordination issue, it's a nerve issue. So you do a bunch of coordination things, and then you're thinking that it might be an impinged nerve or something, and then you go to your doctors and get an x-ray or something along those lines, and still you're scratching your head on how to fix this. But I'll make a long story short and explain to you afterwards. It's not your fucking shoulder, it's your pelvis. And if you look at your pelvis, you'll have that, I think it's called an iliac crest, right here, that your hip crest. Your hip will go like this, like a crest like this, and then come down. And then there's this point. I forget the name of it, but then there's this point, this knobby ass little point that right there, right where these two points join, that crest shape, and then the point that goes down. I'll have to look it up for my next video so I get a little bit more technical. But you'll notice, if I don't warm up, you'll see that this is lower than this, because this one is tilted backwards and this is forward. Now, I could wiggle around a bit and you see they're a little bit more even. Not so much. But usually I have to go through an extensive warm-up and they get a little bit more equal and things get a little bit better. But what I found out is that a lot of anti-rotation style ab work, gaining a little bit more hip mobility with exercises like hip 90-90. I'm not going to show that to you right now, but like I said, I'm going to have a more comprehensive video later on down the road that'll give exercises on things that I did that helped me. Also, you want to put that shoulder and that scapula, your shoulder blade, do its full range of motion. There's some exercises that I could suggest. What I do personally Now, not everybody has enough money for one of these, but here's a shoulder rock by Kabuki Strength. It's plate loaded. I have 2 5s on here, so 10 pounds. This is like the sweet spot for me at my strength level right now. This will put your, if you're doing it correctly, it will put your scapula through its full range of motion. I don't know, depression, I think it's extension, where it comes up, pronation, all that good shit. Like right now, I can't think of the technical things, but I doubt you even care about that. But you want to put that through its full range of motion. You'll see the serratus. You want to be able to hit that serratus, because what that serratus will do is it will take your scapula and push it more towards your rib cage, which ultimately you want. You want that scapula to glide on your rib cage instead of like staying stuck out right here. If it's not against your rib cage, it's basically programming your body to not go through its natural planes of motion. What else do I want to talk about? So putting your shoulder through your shoulder and your whole shoulder girdle, that whole complex around here, through its full range of motion. You want a little bit more hip mobility, or a lot more hip mobility depending on how bad it is. You want to condition your diaphragm too. I don't think I have my breath belt. I have an old worn out one that's like 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years, 2.5 years old. It's a diaphragm conditioning device. I have another one upstairs that I've taken better care of that looks brand new. But this is a diaphragm conditioning device. That thing is like entering the matrix. That'll get you right. That'll teach you exactly how to, how do I say it? Learn how to breathe properly. Like it helps you be hyper aware of your diaphragm, how to make it descend in your abdominal cavity. That's another one. So shoulder, diaphragm, hip mobility, and lastly, which I feel all those things are just as important, your feet. You want to gain foot mobility, dexterity, and strength. And I do this doing a few different things. Like I said, I'm not going to show you any exercises in this video. But so you want to gain like foot mobility, toe mobility. I usually shove my hand through my toes, and I do like this whole like little turning type thing with my foot. And I like basically, let's say this is my foot. I do this, one of these things, and I do like a bunch of different like reps, like turning my foot, going like that with it. I also do hip airplanes, where I'll plant one foot on the ground, going like a 45-degree angle with the other leg basically kicked out, and then I'll turn in. I know you can't see this. I'll turn out, and you can see this leg is already up. But I'll do a bunch of turns like that, and that does a bunch of different things. It teaches you coordination. It gives you foot strength, ankle strength. It also builds the hell out of your hips. It's one of those exercises where it'll show you your weaknesses when it comes to like hip mobility and hip strength. A brief summary of how I fixed it, because if you're a little bit more in alignment, especially with the shoulder thing, the shoulder thing by itself, I feel that just doing that alone, putting your shoulder through its full range of motion, still isn't enough, because the rest of your body is sort of like knocked out of alignment. I'm not saying that you need to be doing a bunch of different like corrective exercises and stuff like that. A good warm-up will correct a lot of these things. You don't have to spend, a bunch of hours doing corrective exercises when you should be lifting weights, especially if that's your goal. If your goal is to get strong, you should be lifting weights. A good warm-up plan will help, sort of even things out. And don't think that you will ever be symmetrical, because I don't think anybody ever is. You want to get to a good enough spot to where you're able to lift pain-free and still feel the muscles working in the important spots. I think that'll be it for this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I have a bunch of content that I want to release. I don't know how often I'm going to be releasing it or making these type of videos, but the next time I upload a video like this about a wing scapula, it's going to be way more comprehensive. I'll have a diagram of the skeletal and muscular system and all that good stuff, and then explain a little bit more in depth. It'll probably be a lot longer video with more editing. That's it. Thanks for watching. Peace.